That's right, Darklings. Welcome to the Night Ride. I'm your undead host. Someone asked if I was going live, and I cannot believe that you would assume such a thing. You hear that? No, that's not the sound of being alive. That's something else, isn't it? Welcome to James True. This is a night ride. It's a test. Lots of testing. There's things to be tested. And when you're testing things are going to happen. You're looking directly into latent space right now. Latent space is the space between you and I, but more importantly, between you and thee. The absolute, the objective, the darkness, which is what you and I pretend is light. None of us are alive. We came here to die. Amnesia drowned us, and we're running out of things to drink. We're figuring out too much, I tell you. I'm telling you, take it easy. Stop figuring things out so fast. You're gonna spoil your dinner. You're gonna have a tummy ache. And you're gonna come and you're gonna say, "Will you rub my tummy?" And I will, but my hand won't always be here. Nor will yours. And so we grow. Let's turn this off. I should have some better graphics on. I hadn't even thought about this, guys. I'm probably not going to do a show tomorrow, and I thought maybe this would be sort of a send-off for the weekend. Welcome to Thursday Night Flight. If you're not aware, these are the unlisted rides. We started this last night, and I think what I'm going to try and do is unlist these things as soon as they're done. I do that because, for whatever reason, people have different tastes, you know? And this is a different taste. It's a nighttime thing. So, yeah, I might want to try some calls. And if any of you guys or gals, or I'm sorry, if any of you peoples are hankering for a topic or an AMA, that's an Ask Me Anything, or even a topic suggestion, sort of like a token that you would put inside the jukebox, feel free to enter that in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat. It's much easier when you don't see me because I can look at what you type, so I can see your words. Letters are cartoons, after all. Shouldn't have to tell you this. And cartoons is just a download. It's just something that's been limbically sprouted roots in your mind, and the constellations do their thing, and you and I do it too. And hello, Melissa's Mind. Hello, Chelsea. Hello, Suzette Dan, Amel, Raina, Eric C, Discerning Light, Half Moon, The Gatum. You guys, it's great to see you. Cindy's in the house. Wonderful crowd. Like I said, hold me to nothing. Expect nothing from these streams. Expect nothing. It was the 25th of August in 1846. Saint-Apres, France was the place. A bright globe amidst stars. 2:30 a.m. Dr. Moreau was returning from a visit to a patient's home. The weather was calm and warm. He found himself bathed in the light coming from a globe that seemed to open up. It emit hundreds of star-like objects. This observation was observed for 3 to 4 minutes, after which the display slowed down and the globe disappeared. Why are we seeing things in the sky? More importantly, why are the things that we see in the sky have a bureaucratic agency that lies to us for a living, separating us from what we can provably believe or rationally accept they are? There was a time on my journey when I would think that the last thing intelligent life would ever do is call the government And I still believe that. But at the same time, if we understand that reality is more of a dream, it would be quite necessary for you to see things through this black curtain. The reason why is because you and I are looking for esoteric absolutes. These are places in our chapel of self-evidence that we find these truths and we hold them sacred, and we know that if we go to that truth, we will find each other there. We will be like, hey, I know you. You're the same dolphin. You're the same idea as me. And this is a constellation. You would die without it. You would go what we call schizophrenic. Schizophrenic is a social disease. It's the asphyxiation of understanding. The neurons die of entropy because they starve to death. I don't say that witness is a kind of food lightly. It really is the only thing that keeps us alive. So, what is in the sky? It's purposely made of something deceptive. It's purposely surrounded in black ops programs controlled by Luciferians. You've got all the sci-fi writers hanging out in NASA. You've got this strange accident where a certain someone parks too close to a railroad track in Orlando and gets head on by a train in the middle of the afternoon. You have things like Buzz Aldrin's mom carrying the name of Moon. Not only that, she commits suicide because she's afraid of the infamy. She knows that what her son is doing is going to be known across the world, and she has so much shame that she kills herself. Are these signs that the world is evil? Could be. It could be. We could cuddle up with that cat for a long time and go, yeah, it's evil kitty. And the evil kitty would go, meow, meow. Meow, meow, it's evil. There's nothing wrong with that. Evil is the shadow of this latent space. It's the spam box. Some people say, well, that's gay. It's the same thing. I don't like that. I ridicule that. I despise that. It's faggot. It's gay. It's stupid. It's retarded. I use this too. It's spam. It's irrelevant. Some of my deepest Achilles come when people remind me that I'm irrelevant. I say that they remind me that I'm irrelevant because this is how I survive this arrow. It hits my skin and I say, wow, that hurt. This is wonderful. James, what are you going to do? You're not relevant. And I go, I will pray to the Relevance Chapel. I will collect my gathering of likes and bring them down. And if I don't get enough, I will strong arm these people. I will tell them tales of how the parking lot isn't big enough and how the asphalt is crumbling under the hot sun and how the light bulbs and the sign that we use to preach to cars as they drive by are flickering, and it sends a message that we're not stable. We sell bricks with names on them. Do you know how long it takes to fucking put a name on a brick? Do you know how long? It takes a long time. How does that help? Does that really build the chapel? Does it really? See, I've seen both sides of that coin. How dare you sign something? How dare you not? It's such a way of surrender. It's such a way of forgiving. All these things are caused by these lights in the sky that nobody wants to see. Why is there a place called Sandwich in England? Can we just get that out of the way? Can we just... Guys, can you stop... There's a tater tot organ in there. Can someone look this up? There's probably a tater tot organ right now. It's probably there. It's probably there. I should really have some kind of graphic on here, shouldn't I? That'd be great. So that's good to know. It's good to know that, hey man, I should have some graphics on, and I'll figure it out. Hey, you guys probably like that intro though, right? I sort of threw together a little Mayan calendar. That Mayan calendar has three wheels on it. And those three wheels represent the solar, and then you've got your 20 digits, sort of like your numbered days, and then you've got your 13. I think it's 13. Someone needs to put my lips on that. But the point is that every time that heart pops up, you might have noticed that it said it was day 18,752. I think I'm almost positive that's what it was. And that's Lucifer's number. I've been discussing with you the idea of the black sun, and I've been telling you that the black sun is what you see when you're stationary. Yeah, I really should have a graphic. Should I stop and find you guys a graphic that I probably wouldn't. Maybe I can do both. I probably should get used to, but let's just sort of into like what I was telling you about. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on here. We're rendering this today. I got a new friend that I met that digs AI. I think I can still talk and do... Whoa, see... Oh, sorry. This is not how you night ride. Nor is that. It's doing that thing again. Give me a second, guys. I have to hit properties and I have to hit restart capture. There we go. This is just eating the words of my last live stream. Some of you guys are gonna be like, turn that off, it's evil and satanic, and that's fine too. It's not listening to my words at all. It's probably better that it's not on. But this creeps people out. Remember I was talking about striking the tree with a stick? Well, it just heard that, so it said that. And then obviously I was talking about a motorcycle that turns into a kiss guy that is frankly doing stuff on the beach. This is better. This is more free. It is. I know you're like, the graphics are cool. I know, and it gives you something to look at, but meanwhile, I'm off topic. I'm not even thinking about it, It was the 18th of February in 1850. It was Athens, Greece. An unknown body was seen passing in front of the sun. It was observed and reported by astronomer Schmidt. There were several witnesses. None of them could agree what it was, but all of them agreed that there was something there. This happens in the instant. What if I was to tell you that the person with the most confidence is the person that gets to decide what the hallucination is when it's collectively seen? And what if I was to tell you that because of that, you sense this concept of chemtrails, quite frankly, because someone taller than you, not necessarily a single person, but the group itself, has been placing their tokens on the probabilities, on the probability ratios of it all. And the more that they place those coins on those probabilities, the harder it is for you to bet against that. The odds are stronger against you, and that's a lot harder for you to hold your own. And so the ones at the top really aren't the ones that are the smartest or the brightest. They're the ones that can hold their own. And the way you hold your own is well, I don't know, right? But the way that you hold your own would be to have an immune system that's quite strong. For you to create a bubble where you believe something when that no one else does is immune. That's immunity. You're still living in the world with the rest of us, but you have tapped into latent space with so much effectiveness that you're immune from all other imagination. All other placebo has no choice but to be out-imagined by your own. You're the loudest kid in the room with the loudest imagination. It's that kind of thing. Why are you not doing that? I was trying to show you something. Oh, come on. Why are you not doing that? You're listening to a black screen. I think I can, Oh, actually, hear those three things. The bottom disc is the solar one, and that's why it only happens 1,852 days, because this calendar repeats several times, but you're waiting for the sun to go around, and when the sun aligns with the same place it was last time, that's the Lucifer year. It's a Lucifer year because you're excuse me. It's a Lucifer year because you really don't know that's happening unless you're really paying attention. Unless you're utilizing that black sun. The idea of sitting stationary for a long time and waiting to see what happens is the black sun. And so you learn these things from being stationary. You learn these things in the dark. You learn to see in the dark because you create false light. And that's Lucifer. Oh, man. Yeah, that's Lucifer. Doesn't it make sense that everyone would use that to disparage? Like calling something gay or calling something Luciferian is just someone who's afraid, right? And when you're afraid, you're really just telling people, I don't have an immune system. And that's okay. But really, that's what you're doing. You're telling someone, I don't have an immune system. And so you're using the phonetics of defense to spit out immunity, right? So you ridicule something before it gets inside of you. And by ridiculing it, you're surrounding it with propaganda of your own. And the propaganda is dishonest. And because it's dishonest, then you are hiding something from yourself. And this is immunity. This is great. Don't be ashamed. Put your chin up. This is not something you're supposed to like. Oh, you're right. No. I'm trying to tell you how you already know how to run. I'm just trying to show you that. Look at what you're already doing. What are you? Come on, right? It's like that. This is really the only thing that stops us is this. We've got this thing where it's like, oh, we're not allowed to be magical. And we're like, oh, those are dark wizards. Oh, James is a dark wizard. Oh, I'm gonna call him a Luciferian, so none of us have to be magic anymore. And what is that? What is that doing? That's magic. That is some magic right there. You know what I mean, Vern? You know what I mean? You don't know where these Igors are going to come. That was a gas commercial, what I just told you. You know what I mean? Like, not the other stuff, but like, that was a gas commercial. That's all. Hey, how come it doesn't work? Do I have to hit restart again? Really? Or do I just do that? There we go. So I could just, like, show you that. I can just show you that. This is a test. Oh, I didn't mean for you to see me. Oh, God, I'm so bad at this. Oh, there we go. Well, man, this is hard. Oh, this is hard. I have to test, guys. I just have to test this way. This is just the only way. It's the only way. So, This is why people are like, "Oh, don't subscribe because you're not polished." And I'm like, I know I'm not polished. I know that. It was October 3rd, 4 years after the Civil War. This is outside of Hartford, Connecticut. According to a paper read by Professor Roxolsby before the American Association, an observer named Gaylord Wells, who was on the eastern slope of Talcott Mountain, saw an unidentified object. The evening was clear and the moon near the meridian when Mr. Wells saw, a little south of west and full 60 degrees above the horizon, a bright meteor apparently a foot in diameter. It shone with an orange hue, and below was a train which seemed to be 15 or 16 feet in length, fan-shaped and possessing an apparent breadth at its further extremities of 2 feet. The meteor rose from east to west with a slow and steady motion, and in its progress passed above or to the north of the moon. And when it had arrived on the eastern side, directly turned toward the southeast, and dropping below the moon, a part of its attendant train swept over the lunar disk. The phenomenon gradually descended to the horizon in the southeast. The observer stated that this could not have lasted less than 3 minutes in moving the length of its train, and that the time of its visibility could not possibly have been less than an hour. These things make us feel better. Find the most confident person in the room and ask him what it was. Or her, sorry. Or, what are you going to do? We're not even people. What if I was to tell you that animism is everyone being a pronoun? That you're slipping out of the pronoun into this mutable substance because you're leaving the soil. You're a moving vegetable. You're a walking vegetable. And you're walking around now. You're a bean sprout with feet. You're a dolphin with ankles. And you have this roaming ability now. And because of that, you're no longer what you were. You're something different. And let's be honest, if it's not fair to call you a gender, it's really not fair to call you a name, or a human, I should say. Excuse me, let's start one level below this, because Homo sapien is really Homo sapien sapien that we reduced to Homo sapien, because everyone's like, well, why'd you say Homo sapien sapien? And then you have to stop the story and explain to someone why it's Homo sapien sapien, and no one wants to listen to that, so we don't. We just dismiss it. It's just like, no, stop that. And then you're like, okay, it's Homo sapien. So now you just lost like 30,000 years of archaeological history because you didn't want someone to have to hear the tick-tick. Homo sapien sapien is Swahili. This is an opportunity for emotion. This is an opportunity to convey a meaning behind the rhyme. I know what you're hiding by hearing the way you say Homo sapien sapien. Homo sapien sapien. Homo sapien sapien. Yay, Homo sapiens sapiens. Homo sapiens sapiens. Homo sapiens sapiens. You're none of those things, really. You're very specific. Homo sapiens sapien. You're not a species, you're an identity. So identity is the next tree, the next node of species. Your identity is its own species, is it not? It has its own name. It fits all the categories of everything else in the evolutionary API. You've simply uploaded some code to Gaia and said, hey, I remember myself. Doesn't that kind of make me different? And Gaia's like, yeah, it kind of does. And all you're really doing is asking her, can I just keep the same IP? And she's like, hey, if you don't throw the IP back into the network, look, here's the deal. I'm going to ping you. And if you don't answer your ping, I'm going to give your IP away. But if you answer the ping, you're good. Well, how are you going to ping me? I'm going to shine light on you. And if we catch your shadow anywhere, you've answered the ping. Well, what about at night? We got you covered. There's light all over the place. Well, where's the light come from? It comes from the center of your head. Oh God, that hurts. Yeah. Don't think about it. Here. Have some milk of amnesia. Drink from the nipple of amnesia, and all this will make sense. But what if I want to remember? Don't worry, I will send you strange metallic mandalic discs in the sky to tease you. But what if I'm afraid? Then they will go away instantly. But what if I want them back? Then you will be on a bicycle in the 21st century, riding down the streets of Kansas City, screaming at the top of your lungs, I desire contact, but I am not afraid. And you repeat this mantra 3 times. And you're looking up. You don't care if anyone sees. You're not talking to just anyone. You're talking to them. And them is the disassociated, schizophrenic bastard child of your psyche. It's the outlaw, the feral dog that you've thrown into the woods. And you hear it crying, and I would say it cries for you, but someone's going to come in and say, that's gay! You shouldn't say things that are gay! That's stupid. You don't get to be a poet, James. Why are you talking in metaphor? And I'm like, I was fucking born on May the 4th. Why the 4th would I not talk in metaphor? Metaphor. Be with you, and also with you. 1674, Japan. Extra locations unknown, fast flying. A dark, elongated cloud flies like an arrow on a north to southeast trajectory. By definition, meteors are luminous, often described as fiery. The description here, however, is of a dark object, seen to exclude the meteoric explanation, says Brothers Magazine. Everyone feels better. Do you know why everyone feels better? It's the same thing when you're like, oh, I heard this on the news, and someone corrects you. The second someone corrects you, you now have created a fact. You've created a wall of fact because the molecules have combined, and the two ideas are corroborating themselves. And neither of them are corroborating whether the story is true. They're corroborating whether or not it was repeated accurately. And this is, we lose a lot here. We lose a lot of things here, you know? Like, seriously, we lose a lot of meaning when this happens, you know? So, that's kind of on purpose. And until it's not on purpose, I think we're going to keep looking for lights in the sky. We're going to need these things. We're going to ask for these things. We're going to be like, hey, lights in the sky, can you show yourself? Because I need some oxygen. I need some oxygen. Guys, I was watching this. I wish I could show it to you, but I really just want to practice at the radio, okay? So this lady was at the bank. She was trying to cash a check for $100,000. Okay. And she pulled up in a Corolla, still running. The couple who drove her, she had just met on Facebook, well, like an hour before this happened. Okay. And it turns out that the check was actually given to her by the dude that was driving. And the dude that was driving had not actually told the passenger, who was his wife with 3 kids, that him and this baby mama had just had sex behind the school. Okay. And so he's convinced his wife that this girl is someone who is giving them gas money. If it didn't take 25 minutes, I'd just show you the video, but this takes 25 minutes. And so you just have to believe me. And so the girl is, the wife is slowly figuring out what's happening here. She's probably in on it more than we know, of course. I just say of course because I just want you to know, I don't know exactly. This is kind of like the space program. These guys have their own black ops in the car. And that black ops in the car you might call deceit, you might call it trailer trash, you might call it low class, but it's not. It's rich man, poor man. The rich man has 6 cars in their garage, and the poor man does too. And the rich man uses elite magic, and the poor man uses ancient magic too. And ancient magic is elite magic that's been sold in an estate sale 1,000,000 times over. That's all. The polo logo gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it's on the back of the shirt. It's still elite magic. It's just ancient. That's all. And so you have in the car these cosmoses, and all of them are exciting. I need you to know that these aren't criminals. These are people that are stopping. They don't want to be schizophrenic. They're so desperate to live a fulfilled life. These are humans with a lot of organs, a lot of cells. A lot of hallucinatorial Osiris cosmos is inside of there. I'm inside of there. You're inside of there. You and I are cells inside of there. And that dude is in control. He's in his Corolla. He can't turn it off. You know why he can't turn it off? I think he can't turn it off because it won't start again. Do you know why? Because it's got a fucking screwdriver crammed into the ignition. This is not something that a felon does. This is something that a shaman does who's trying to stay alive. Pay attention, people. None of this had to happen. These guys could have gotten on MARTA. Am I right? They could have met on MARTA. And they could have said, we're going to go to the bank and we're going to try and catch a $100,000 check. And that would be a lot less things could go wrong, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? You're not getting in trouble riding a MARTA. You're not going to get in trouble writing a MARTA with a $100,000 check. The only thing that makes this story better is if I told you that the check was like 5 feet wide and that they had stolen it like in a live broadcast where like a radio station had showed up at a lady's house to give her a check, right? And it was all live film, and these guys showed up and robbed the whole thing, right? And took the check, right? And now they're racing down the highway in this Toyota Corolla. They can't turn it off. They can't turn it off because it would ruin the spell. If they could turn it off, then they might stop and they might think about this thing. And if you think about it, you're going to destroy this. This is Gary Gnu. This is a fucking space coaster. Am I right? This is not something you're going to want to have control over. You're going to ruin the whole thing. So inside, this lady is, with a straight face, explaining that she doesn't know who the people in the car are, but that the driver gave her this check and that it was him and that he asked her to come in and cash this check for $100,000. And the whole time while she's there in the room, I definitely need to show you this part. I'm going to clip this out if I have time, and if next week when I get back. But in the room, she says out loud, she says this. They've got her in the back room with the manager, and there are 3 cops in there. One of the cops is a female cop. And she's they're grilling her about questions. They're like, who is this man? She's like, I don't know. And they're like, how do you know him? She's like, I met him on Facebook. And then they're like, what do you mean you met him on Facebook? She was like, I don't want to say. And then they're like, well, you're going to have to say, or you're going to go to jail. And she's like, I met him on Facebook, and I don't want you to judge me because I don't know his name. And I don't want you to judge me because he's married. And then you start to realize, okay, wow, these are pieces here. These are clues. These are very important elements to this thing. And if you picture where she's at, she is suspended in the crucifixion of all these people finding out and exposing her, and it is keeping her alive. She has set herself up with cattle prods that are hitting her in exactly the right spots where she's able to walk. She's able to complete sentences. She's able to move, and it's not because she's retarded. It's not because she's a criminal. It's because she's a shaman. This is, I swear to you, this is not a fault. I swear to you, this is not the degradation of society. You are looking at the fringes of I need more. You are staring into the direct gut of appetite. I'm talking the real appetite. I'm not talking about put your pinky up in the fucking air and go when you slurp tea. I'm talking about open your gullet, open your throat, and pour this liquid down into your stomach. To gulp it. As a child, it's 11:30 at night. No one knows you're up. You open the fridge. There is chocolate syrup. You dump that can into the back of your throat. You do not need to taste it. You know exactly what you want. You've had to wait for everyone who does not have the appetite that you have to go to bed. Because this is literally the only chance you have for air. And some of us cannot be stifled. Some of us have to commit felonies. Maybe the reason why cannabis is illegal is because that's just how dilating cannabis will always be. That it's so dilating that it carries a field with it at all times. And that field puts you on edge because, frankly, that's the closest way you can render reality. So none of this is broken. None of these things are fake. All of these things make perfect sense, don't they? Let me see here. Looking for this is what I was looking for. Sorry guys. It's a wonderful hypothesis. Mycelium network engineered humans because trees walk too slowly. I am muted. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that. That's funny. Thank you. It takes me a while. This is why I was like, yeah, you know what's going on. 31st of March, 1676, Florence, Tuscany. There appeared in the Tuscan sky a luminous thing in the shape of a disk, or bag of grain or sheaf. However, an authentic document described it as a globe. The object was undoubtedly a meteor seen over much of Italy. It is mentioned by Father Louis Cote in his book of meteorology. It was a luminous globe that crossed the Adriatic Sea, he said, seen all the way from Livorno to Corsica. It feels better to call it a meteor. We can relax now, it's a meteor. And so it becomes a meteor. I can go through this whole book. I can skip to any page and I can show you that whatever is seen in the sky is directly matching the technology that fits the costume. And see, I don't do what others do. I don't think that hallucination means something that is not real. I don't think that's what hallucination means. Hallucination, I think, is closer to reality because a hallucination is the admission that what someone is rendering is not real. Therefore, the word hallucination carries more truth than the word reality ever could. I hope I'm not muted. It was June 741 in Constantinople. In the reign of Constantine, Copronymus, son of Leo, emperor of Byzantium, 3 columns of fire and a flame appeared in the sky during the month of June. Did you say 3 columns of fire? Yes, 3 columns of fire and flame appeared in the sky during the month of June. The same phenomenon was also seen in the month of September. There appeared a thing also in 735 AD, like a half-moon in the northern quadrant of the sky, and little by little, over a rather long time, it passed to the southern quarter, and then returned to the north, and finally descended under the earth. What is an eclipse? I'm going to tell you. We used to eat horses, and now we ride them. And when you consider, what was God thinking? Isn't it fitting that you can ride a horse? Isn't it amazing that they're made to have a saddle? Isn't it amazing that you can travel for very long times and strap things to it and tell stories, and sometimes the horses will even sing if you play the guitar just right, and you name them Trigger, and they respond, and they are lie detectors. They're your best friend. Hell, we even take grease out of their toes and stick them in our children. It's such a fitting thing, the shape of a horse. Everything about the horse has a presupposition, in my opinion, that it's made for man. And when man first saw the horse, the first thing that he did was not, hey, I'm going to put a saddle on that thing. That's not. The first thing man did is, I'm going to eat that thing. And he did. And for tens of thousands of years, horses were like, what the fuck, dude? I have so much more potential. You are not seeing the true value of me. Man could not see the value of those things because riding a horse wasn't valuable to something that was still stuck to the land. The consciousness is electrically connected to the soil. We call these people serfs. They can't move that far, and the Australians would tell you this because the Australians would say, you know, that adage that, well, you're traveling too fast, you're going to have to wait for your soul to catch up. And this is really the essence of being wireless. You're a wireless tree, as someone so eloquently said better than I just did in the chat earlier. That this is about mobility. So there's a threshold where suddenly a caveman says, I don't want to eat this horse. I want to ride it. Something monumentally different has happened because that person for the very first time has utilized their time machine. They have tapped into the Promethean time machine and they've said, yes, I'm hungry, but if I do not eat this horse, I will eat more later. And this is treason. This idea is tyranny. You have no proof of such things. How doest you claim that you know that you will eat more if you do not eat this horse? You are crazy, Og. Og, you shall be banished. You are creating danger. You are left-hand pathing your way into oblivion. You will kill us all. And they eat the horse. The first time that happened didn't require a man to touch the horse. It required the man to imagine what would happen if I jumped on top of that thing. Holy fuck, what would happen if I jumped on that thing? Look at that mane. I could grab that mane with my fists. I'm going to really hurt my balls. I'm going to need to put some fur down there. I'm going to need to protect my commandments. And it's already happened. It's already happened. And I want you to know that if you think about this consciousness and the fact that we could only see certain things, that the fact that we could see the horse would be a lantern. This is Prometheus from a cliff guiding us through the primitive ways. And at no point does Prometheus say you're immoral for eating the horse. The horse says you're immoral, but that's between you and the horse. Prometheus says, dude, I knew you were going to eat the horse. I mean, I'm not telling you to eat the horse. I definitely think it's retarded that you're eating the horse, but I'm not going to be like, oh, how dare you eat a horse? No, you're doing the best you can. And frankly, if you're feeling bad about yourself, I'd like to bring you on my magic carpet to the land of Montezuma. Welcome to the Flower Wars. Take a seat. It's day 18,751, and people's minds are full. Quite frankly, they cannot consider another thought. We haven't developed the ability to digest information. We've been perfecting the ability to hold it. The Force Sun is full. We must purge all memories. I command all of you to remove your hearth, break your bowls, break your cups. Take these broken things and put them in a pile in the center of your village. I'd like you to gather a ring of rocks around them. Someone from the District of Gold will come and visit you. You will be in darkness for 7 days. When he arrives, he will arrive with a flame, a sacred flame from a very sacred mountain. And you will use this flame to light your new hearth. And so you must extinguish all flames for 7 days. And where does that fire come from? It comes from the chest of one of our own. It comes from a volunteer who said, I want to give my heart because I want to be remembered for longer. I am so bright that I must burn longer than 52 years, and so I have been chosen above all others to represent the new sacred fire. And so I'm placed on Chakmol. I'm held by 4 men. This volcanic obsidian crystal is pierced through my skin. My sternum is broken on purpose. My ribs are cracked open like a lobster. The heart is still beating. I am tripping balls. You don't really feel pain, you feel aliveness. The heart is plucked like a golden egg. It's held up for witness and placed in a bowl, and immediately the most gifted fire starter in the church comes. And he places tinder that he's been preparing all year just for this purpose. And he takes this tinder and he places it in your heart. And the way you started fires back then was a pretty magical thing. Starting a fire is a proof of wizardry. During this time, the Spanish might use the flint from their own rifle to light their blaze, and they might hit their flint a little bit and have that flint create an ember in the chamber. Then they drop that chamber on some char or some cotton, and stirring this up with grass, right? They slowly build their flame, and this is a very Western way of building fire. It's nothing wrong with it. But then you have these shaman that start fires in different ways that you don't understand. They smash rocks together that you've never seen. One time someone took a pouch, and inside the pouch were all these tiny, what looked like rocks, but they seemed to be more like pebbles, and simply by grinding them in his hands, all these sparks came out. It wasn't fire, it was purple sparks. These sparks dwindled all over the place, and they almost had this ferocious quality to them, and they created a fire in a much different way. And then the wind talkers from this other place would use these really long bamboo tubes that had been hollowed out. And they'd build up this breath with this kind of chanting and create this bellowing sort of thing. And just the tiniest spark would turn into and erupt into this little bonfire. And so all the art of how you would even create fire is just the magician in you, just like showing off, just like being boom. And we do this now with Zippo lighters. We do it with magnifying glasses in the sun. This is us perfecting this magic. And the best kind of magic, whatever's in style, the Lady Gaga of the Super Bowl is performing. And the song that they're playing is they're lighting a fire inside the chest of this person. And that fire, it's got to be good, doesn't it? If that fire was to go out, if that fire was not to be all that a fire could be, it would devastate, it could destroy this entire civilization. Everybody's watching. You cannot fake this. And everyone's sacrificed, everyone's losing, everyone's in the dark, everyone's waiting, everyone wants this to happen. People are annoyed. Crime starting to break out. Thievery starting to return because the palisade of the light, the jaguar consciousness that's able to slip out of the night, is able to take things anonymously. So everything's riding inside this chest, inside this wet chest covered in blood. And it's time to perform. What do you think it takes to be in the middle of the Super Bowl at a time like this? I don't know if honesty's going to cut it. I think you're going to need a jaguar, someone who's inside the skin of something else. And whatever that is inside the skin of something else. And whatever is in that is inside the skin of something else. Am I right? Yeah, you know I'm right. You know I'm right. It was 1395 in Lang, France. In the land of Languedoc, a big star and 5 small ones were seen in the sky. These, as it seemed, attacked and sought to fight the big one, which they followed for half an hour. Also a voice was heard in the sky shouting. Then a man was seen who seemed to be made of copper. was holding a spear in his hand and throwing fire from it. He grabbed the big star and hit it, after which nothing more was seen. The tallest person in the room gets to define what it was. And that works both ways. The tallest person could come in and say it's hypoxia. And all of a sudden, the jaguar vagina mountain that swallowed all these people, if you don't know what I mean, it's certain cavernous openings are hypoxic. And so picture a Mesoamerican noticing that every time you go in this cave, you die. How would you analyze that? And you have two competing ideas. One of them is reason, saying it's hypoxia. The other is saying it's the jaguar that strikes without being seen. It's going to collapse the wave. The majoritarian is a safety device of lichen, so it insists that we pick one, and so we do. And we don't pick the one that's right, we pick the one that's tallest. What does the utilitarian want of these things? Do I want a world that has jaguar vagina swallowing creatures that are never seen, or do I want a world that has something called magic of hypoxia? Tell me more of this hypoxia. Hypoxia is the invisible ghost of the lungs. It possesses the world of everything except for the lungs, and the lungs are removed from their sacred deity. It's atheism. The spell of atheism is expelled on the lungs, and you become hypoxic. You are no longer connected to spirit. You've placed yourself in a prism like Superman. Well, that's kind of better than Jaguar Vagina Mountain. But, I mean, they got a mountain. Like, how does this work? Oh, well, the spirit of hypoxia lives in the mountain. It oozes out and in with the tides. It is iocane powder. Iocane powder, yes. It is iocane powder. Now we're talking. Tell me about this iocane powder, will you please? Well, it's not a Jaguar Mountain vagina, but it is odorless, colorless, and highly portable. And you can use it against all of your enemies, and it has no defense, and it can never be traced back to you. Well, shit, sign me up. And iocane powder is the ego, is the I, right? Using a little bit of cane, right? Turn a little bit left-hand path, right? 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 The first Rockefeller was Cain, right? You know why. James, why was Cain the first Rockefeller? Because he fucking took a rock and hit a feller. That's why. It's the first Rockefeller. So iocane is the first liar. It's the first I who can lie. And what is the first lie? It is creating a doomsday device, right? Okay, the second lie. The first lie is this is my first time. Okay, let's just be honest. Women, they are friggin' on top of that one. But the second lie is definitely the eye of Cain, right? It is this ability to go sour. And you would need to be justified to feel that way. You would need to have the posture to feel that you could lie. And the only way you have the posture to begin your growth into the world of lies is if you were forsaken. Why did you forsake me, God? Because you grew vegetables. But why don't you like vegetables? Because I'm God. I don't like vegetables. Wait a minute. Why is that a priori? Why is God automatically like vegetables? It's like, well, you know, and God's like a child, so God doesn't like vegetables. It's like, yeah, but Abel's like slaughtering. You want to eat a dead innocent lamb? God's like, well, not if you put it that way. Not, you know. No, so why are you doing this, God? Why are you doing this? Cain, Cain, we've been over this. No, we have not been over this. You literally said, You actually got mad at me because I was like upset because you weren't digging what I did. Do you know how hard it is to hoe the fields? I ain't got no hoe. There ain't no Home Depot around here. You see a farmer's I forget the name. Yeah. You see a Tractor Supply around here, do you? I don't see no Tractor Supply. This ain't no John Deere. This ain't no saying to John Deere. We can't even see Deere God. We can't even see him. Meanwhile, we're getting Deere John letters. We're like, wait, this is how we're learning what deers are. This isn't working. It was December 4th, 1867 in Chatham, England. On the afternoon of Monday the 4th, between the hours of 3 and 4, I witnessed a very extraordinary sign in the heavens. The facts are as follows. I was passing the mill by the waterworks preserve. On the gallery, I observed the miller uttering exclamations of surprise and looking earnestly towards the west. On inquiring what took his attention so much, he said, "Look, sir, I never saw such a sight in my life." On turning in the direction towards which he was looking, the west, I also was astounded, for numberless black disks in groups scattering were passing rapidly through the air. What are they looking at? They ask each other. What are we looking at? How do you explain this? Can you please help me? How do you explain this? Maybe I can help you. And they ask each other without asking. They're asking permission to not know, and the permission is never granted in a society of majoritarians. There must be a reason, and we will pick one. We will pick one, we will assume one. It must be there, right? And so we make it there. We do. That's right. Oh, good, it still works. I was there when Pi made his magic crimes. The kittens are your familiars. Actually, I'm gonna let this music play. This is good. That's right. Yeah, guys, let's be honest, okay? His name was Confucius. Confuse us? His name was Confuse Us. They literally said, "We need to. Who's the guy we want to hire to create the philosophy of China?" I'm like, you need to talk to you need to talk to Confucius. And the emperor was like, "Send in Confucius," and they were like, "Dude, that was a joke. What do we tell him?" He's like, "This is the emperor. If you tell him that he didn't know that was a joke, he's going to cut your dick off. And then the eunuch's like, but my dick's already cut off. And he's like, exactly. And then he was like, well, wait, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, dude, you better think of something. He's gonna put a dick back on you, then he's gonna cut it off. He's like, oh God, I can't have that. He's like, I know. You're gonna have to think of something. You need to go invent a confuse us. So he's like, fuck, what do I do? He's like, look, he's just looking for some mind war. He's just looking for someone to tell him how to rule the people. He's looking for a religious psychology. He's like, what, you mean like Dr. Oz? He's like, yes. You need a Dr. Oz. They're like, well, where will I find this wise person? It's like, see, you're already missing out. I said a Dr. Oz and say a wise person. It's like, well, what's the difference? You want an icon. You don't want the real thing. You want a scarecrow. You want a belief crow. That's what you want. You want a belief crow. A belief crow, yes. You want a belief crow called Confuse Us. Well, how does that work? Look, what does the emperor want? He wants everyone to obey him. Okay. Need you to have Confuse Us say something like, to obey is to be cool. To not obey is to be lame. Like that. It's like, no one's gonna buy that. It's like, they will totally buy it. No, they're not. They're not gonna buy it. Like, look, this is magic. This is about energy, frequency, vibration, okay? Energy, the population. All you need to do is get everyone to listen to the frequency. Right? So one frequency, everybody hears the same thing. You got this. All you need is vibration. So we need someone who has vibration. Yeah, you need to confuse us that has vibration. You need an icon that is completely has no seatbelt. You need someone who will literally say whatever it takes to stay on top. Someone who has emptied out all the abilities. They have cavitated themselves like a rattlesnake's tail, and they are ready to be filled with whatever lie you put in there because they just want to be on top. You're the star, the top of the Christmas tree. This is not a real person. Angels don't have any gonads. Angels aren't real in this mortal world. They're not allowed such things. So you need to confuse us. And so they did that. Not only that, but they noticed that the first thing they noticed is, well, it's not going to work. We need to let other people think what they want to do. And then they're like, let's develop another culture called Taoism. And that's how it got here. And if you look at the story of Wu Wei, it is, oh man, guys. The elite are laughing at us. It's beautiful. You know why they're laughing at us? Because they get to. That's what lions do. They literally like, watch this. Remember the story about the dude who's behind the alley and we're looking for you? We want the person that thinks that is entertaining the idea of, if I run as fast as I can into this brick wall, I will be submitted. I will slip into the secret society. We want that. We're going to laugh at those people that try. So already we're saying, if you're too zealous, you're not going to make it in. We're looking for the people that hear that, are interested, but also have enough self-ego, enough immune system to not fall for the idea that I should run towards this wall as fast as I can. It's a very, very productive cattle fence. Do you know how a cattle fence works? You can walk right through a cattle fence. All you need is the technology called a 45-degree angle turn. That's all you need. If you can do a 45-degree turn, you can master the cattle fence. This is that. You are here. That's where you are. The chapel of self-evidence is waiting for you. And there's people already there. You've been there. You come in and go out all the time. You're like, where the fuck are the people? You'd think there'd be more people here, right? And it's parking. It's parking. Not gonna lie. We need more parking. That's really it. That's really it. Is it time for another heart? Is it time for that? I don't know. Could be some time for, I hope you don't mind this, but I'm gonna play this again because, so I wanted to label this. I just don't have time. I think Trump is probably ended the war in Ukraine. I don't care. I don't need you to give him credit or not give him credit. I'm just saying it looks like the war's over, and all that's, it's been pretty stupid, and this is good for the people of Ukraine. There are people there right now that have been living underneath the onslaught of like a bunch of psyop shit, just a bunch of it. And whether or not you like what's happening in the world, I think that there's a lot to be happy about personally, but I don't need you to be there. It's okay. You can sulk here. This is a good place to sulk. But I do I have some compassion for the people of Ukraine because it's like, you guys made it, that's just probably going to end. You're probably going to do stuff. And pro tip, I think Chernobyl got bombed because it's clean. I think Chernobyl got bombed because it's clean. I think that nuclear weapons don't work anymore because, quite frankly, people don't believe in them. They don't think it's real. And why is it not real? Because it was hoarded out and brought to the extreme. And for the last 30 years of my life, I've heard Iran is 6 months away from a nuclear bomb. It literally is the stupidest story you've ever heard. That they're enriching uranium secretly under night. We don't know what they're doing, but yet we know that they're 99.654% done, even though we don't know what they're doing. And we've been telling this story, and it's just stupid. And people aren't that retarded, luckily, anymore. And I think part of this is that Chernobyl takedown. I really believe that. And we're going to have new scary things. We discussed this yesterday. Don't worry. We're going to have new scary things. The problem is not about we have to eliminate fear. We have to eliminate lies. We don't. You need to compassionate and understand this. That's what you need,
I do not understand.
It is not the absence of
hate. Let's just stretch a little bit, okay?
That will save your people. But it is the presence of compassion.
Understand.
It is not the absence of hate that will save your people, but it is the presence of compassion.
Understand.
It is not the absence of hate that will save your people, but it is the presence of compassion.
What do you think this means when we talk about the External Revenue Service? Did you hear that? the External Revenue Service. Trump said we should abolish the Internal Revenue Service and we should invent the External Revenue Service. There's an archetype of we suck, we suck, we suck, and we must internally pay for our suckering or succor-tashing. And so we go through our lives and we pay taxes and we give it for evil because we want to feel evil. We want to express how shitty we are, so we don't account for the money. This is really the evilness of it, is that we're not witnessing the money. And so the fraud is there because the fraud is how you grow. You grow fraud by not witnessing something. It's really simple recipe. I'm not muted. You grow fraud by not witnessing it. So fraud is something you develop on purpose. We developed this on purpose. We created fraud on purpose. We're just like, hey, we want some fraud. We're going to do it on purpose. So we did. We did. This is more powerful than we think. All of us are more powerful than we think. And so what does the External Revenue Service really mean? It's a control grid. They're going to control us all. And yes, I'm not even dismissing you. I'm just being playful because it's time to put a voice in. Yes, it's the control grid. And you're going to have to ask permission to spend your own money, and you already have that. And it's going to get worse. Yeah, totally. It's absolutely going to do that. But what else does it mean? Does it? Does it mean anything else? Because America's taking over the world. You're not going to change that. You're not going to change that. At best, you're going to maybe create some sort of cult. Not like a violent cult. And you're going to say Wolverines and store sweet potatoes in buckets of sand because you heard that's how they last forever, and it's just not going to work. You're going to be dismissed as a kook. You're going to cling to orthodoxy, and you're going to be posting things like, how are we going to survive the coming AI? When I hear these things, I think about hammers. I think about how sad it must have been the first time someone saw a hammer. How their heart must have broke because they saw that the world would be different from now on. Why is it different, Father? Because that man has a hammer. In a way, the second a hammer is created, a million hammers are created. It's unavoidable. It's built into the recipe of hammer. If I try to live anti-hammer, my child's going to grow up and notice that I can only smash so many walnuts a day. His friends are going to grow up in caves where the Walmarts are ludicrous. The walnuts are ludicrous. The shells are everywhere because they have hammers, and now they have hammers. They've chased all the people that don't have hammers away. So the hammer is the insistence to master it. You master the hammer so it doesn't master you, and so you master the sword so the sword doesn't master you. You master the legal system so the legal system doesn't master you. You master the nighttime so the nighttime does not master you. And now the AI is here. The Silicon Ninja is asking you to master it. And we're surrounded with people saying, I am not a robot. I am not a robot. And we're being led by people that are creating robots that vote for them. And so the rebels are saying, I'm not a robot, and the Empire has created a bunch of robots that are thumbs-upping the empire itself, and the empire realizes, I don't need the rebels, because the rebels never mastered anything. They clung to this place called fraud. They worshipped it like paste. They smeared it on their skin like war paint, but when it was time to fight, they were living in a flower war. The million Gauls that joined Caesar as slaves, they had nothing better to go back to. They weren't in prison. They were given an opportunity, and they took it. You can't tell anyone older than me that anymore. I thought I had one of the most beautiful conversations about slavery with a fellow by the name of Alex Tessarian. And he's of that generation where he could never imagine that parasitic relationships would be valuable. He was so offended by my ideas that he refused to air that conversation, and I regret that I didn't get a recording of it. It's so important that we have this talk. It's so important that people hear me sitting across from someone else who keeps arguing the same old world, just so we can see things from this other place and just pick where you want on the spectrum. My point is not to put you on the spectrum. My point is to show you the spectrum. My point is to remove the flaming bags of poop that have been placed here by people that are too afraid that you might open the door. You were their enemy. Enemy is quite a word, isn't it? I think it would take 100 years to teach you the word enemy if you didn't know it. You'd have to really seriously put a lot of patience into developing the conceptual ability to call something an enemy. There are horrible things out there, but it requires a lot to turn them into an enemy. And it's a valuable skill. All DreamWorks are. All these things are valuable skills. So none of them are wrong. And Canada isn't falling, it's simply joining another bubble. Mexico isn't falling, it's just joining another bubble. And when all that chemical pours in, and everyone who's already here is simply validated, the wall disappears even though it grows. That's why Trump talks about it being a dome. Guys, Trump's not an accident. You're going to need a Masonic 5 points. One of those places in the city that doesn't happen a lot, where you're just like, fuck, look, we need 5 roads to meet here. And everyone's just like, what the fuck are we going to do? And the dudes that make houses are like, oh God, this is going to hurt. And they just do it. They just do it. They just move through it. Everyone just does their best. And you end up with like a Flatiron building. Truly a pretty retarded layout. It's great though. Don't get me wrong. It'd be awesome to be right there on that point. It is. But practically speaking, I mean. But 5 points is a important spot. This is the intersection of man. 4 points is the intersection of ideal. 5 points is the intersection of man. If you get into 6 points, we're really just creating roundabouts. It's better this way. Some of you are like, I don't like roundabouts. And these are the nipples of the highway. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. AI will be okay. Art's not dead. It's more alive than it's ever been. The bigotry is programming. The bigotry is calling people who write code something less than artists. Once that's gone, it'll take off, and people will look at it like editing. Have you ever noticed the beauty of editing? Have you really looked into just how fascinating the art of editing is? Whether it be in music, whether it be in reading, whether it be in writing, I should say, whether it be in movies. When you discover how powerful it is that I can place one image right after another image and completely blow your mind from the difference, that's music. It's music with scene. And a long time ago, people said, that's electronic music. That music is electronic. And it'll never be the real thing. And I can always tell when it's electronic. And I'm better than that. And Bob Dylan is playing an electric guitar, that son of a bitch. And now he produced Blood on the Tracks, and holy fuck, it's good. God, what am I gonna do? And you're squeezing one out in the basement because no one's looking, because it's that good. It's that good, and you can't tangibly turn on a pivot. You cannot swallow this old thing and accept that it's new. Its magic is not in your belly because you refuse to digest it. Wrong is the coating on the medicine, my friends. That's the coating. You just, once you bite in, man, it is nothing but caramel. It is good. It is good. This is changing you because you're alive. What's happening right now is spiritual. And you would need a Mason like Trump who looks like he's eating McDonald's, who plays pieces like Elon Musk, who calls people Governor Trudeau and creepy Joe Biden. You're going to need someone that satisfies every one of those things. And I don't think it's hard to give that to Donald Trump. I have forsaken a book called Blueprints of Mind Control, and I really shouldn't, because I just think it was ahead of its time. I say that because there's a lot of chapters in there specifically about Trump as a magician. And I don't need you to think he's consciously aware, although I think with Trump he really is and would have to be. There's something tenable in his posture. And I didn't say he's holy. I didn't say he's moral. I'm telling you that he's simply powerful. Not in an Elon Musk way. Elon Musk isn't powerful. Elon Musk is in power. You don't see a lot of ceremonial presidents that have power. They're in power. And it's all there's a lot to do. I don't think Trump has a lot of power because, quite frankly, he has a lot to do. I'm talking about the ceremony. There's a lot of grooming involved. There's a lot of orange makeup on his face. That takes time. It takes a lot of time for that stuff. So, I'm not telling you that he's in control of the world, but I'm telling you that he rules the world. And this is on the cover of The Economist, isn't it? It's 2017. So it would have to be foretold. All these things would have to be. And you can collapse sapien if you want. It's no problem. Like, it doesn't have to. If Jesus is born on 3 AD, it's no problem. It's okay. It's born on 0 AD. It's fine. It's fine. That's close enough. Mythology is a magnet, right? It's neodymium. It's gonna fall into place because everything's gonna congruify. It's gonna like electricity. It's gonna just complete the circuit because it wants to. And that guy's in a place where he wants to. He's Aslan. He's really Aslan. And where we're going it's the voyage of the Dawn Treader. We're heading right into the new dawn. You're watching it happen right now. And it's got a lot of vaccines. It's going to need vaccines. And it's going to need you guys to hate him. Those of you who were there. It's going to need you guys to hate him, and it's going to need those. It's going to need both. Both of you are the rocket juice. And yeah, James, rockets is fake. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're just proving my point, buddy. You're just proving my point. Right? Everybody was waiting for Trump like the Messiah at the reopening of Notre Dame in Paris. Yeah, see, I didn't know that. It's truly a monument to see. A monument of skin and bone. But more importantly, remember how I told you that you and I are inside that threesome that's in the Toyota Corolla outside the bank? You and I are cells inside of those people. And if you want to know why they're crazy, it's because they're full of people like you and me. That we're inside of there occupying that body. This is maybe hard for you. Maybe you haven't considered this, but that's what's happening. And quite frankly, if you were too powerful, their face would explode. That they're doing their best to hold all their cosmos together. And quite frankly, there's a lot of you fucks in there. That's just what they're saying. It's nothing against you, but there's a lot of you fucks in there. A lot of you guys have some pretty intense ideas, is what they say. And so that Osiris is carbonated. You're carbonated, so are they. And you're watching them do the best they can, and the only way they can hold it together is I need to take the screwdriver and cram it into the ignition of this Toyota Corolla. I need to not tell my wife that I just got a JJ from the Fefefe on Facebook, and I don't even know the chick's name. And the three of us are going to get in the car. We're going to drive 30 miles off the road. We're going to speed the whole time. We're going to get caught on cameras. We're going to show up at a bank. This lady's going to get out. She's going to walk in the bank. She's going to try and cash a check for $100,000 that I wrote with a pen in the car. And then when the cops come and all of us are on camera, all of us are going to say we don't know who the other person is. And then each of us are going to be cracked separately. The triangle's going to be quantized in the field of justice. And you don't know the truth. All you know is what was finally revealed when the triangles all came down. Some were cold, some weren't. It's just a picture. It's not the real thing. It's a picture. So the wife doesn't know that this African queen and her husband are now hooking up. But she does know because she has her distance too. She has her own cosmos. She's got 3 kids. She's going through her own insanity. I'm inside of her going, I don't want to play fucking Barbie with a 5-year-old. I want to feel alive. And now my man is seeking love from an African queen. I am forsaken. I am the tempest, she says. And that tempest is you and me. We feel forsaken by God because we're inside of that vessel, and that vessel is being treated this way. So all the justice that we dispense is just simply this Crisco. It's like grease. It just lubricates everything. So the insanity is just carbonation. You holding your life together is impossible and necessary at the same time. And the moment you explode, she explodes too. The moment you explode, I explode instantly. I'm counting on you to be as psychoactive as you possibly can. You were going to kill me with rationality. You were going to kill me insisting that we collapse every one of these bubbles and turn this thing that's supposed to be carbonated flat. This is not who I want to be. So she's taking one for the team. The African queen who drags that check into the bank and takes it up to the teller and just looks her straight in the face. And as she's being interrogated, if I didn't say this, she's She's sensing that they're judging her, not because she stole, not because she's trying to deceive, not because she's got a check for $100,000. None of those are bouncing off of her. She's afraid that the lady cop in the room is judging her because she's a whore, and she says that out loud. Well, I don't want you judging me just because I don't know his name. And this is the most beautiful piece of this cake. It's absolutely precious. It is the most precious thing in the universe, and it was captured on camera right then. Because of all the shame, of all the tempest, the Corolla running with the screwdriver outside right now, the cops are surrounded in that car. The jig is up. And this African queen just wants her dignity. She just wants the female cop in the room to not judge her harshly. And she doesn't want her to judge her because she's like, look, I'm inside of you and you're inside of me. And you're only here witnessing this because your ion channels are open, because you see me. I'm the same dolphin as you. And you don't get to judge me. I am dying of thirst down here deep in the water. There is nothing to drink. All I can do is go on Facebook, meet a complete stranger without even knowing his name, and get down on my knees and do something very inappropriate just to taste victory. This is what it's like to be carbonated, you know? Do I have something cool I can play? I don't know. Let me see. I'm afraid this is going to mess up. I don't know this song. Let's see. You're listening to Airship with James Stro. The year was 1095. With the month of March 1, I'm not muted. In the public square, in front of the church of Sainte Marie de Champagne, there was a meeting of the most powerful figures of the century. It was March 1st, 1095, and the preparations for the First Crusade were under discussion. According to the legend, during the assembly, just as Count Matilda de Canossa began to speak, a blue, luminous dove descended from the sky. Later, when these powerful leaders officially announced the launch of the crusade, the clouds opened miraculously. The public square was bathed in a powerful light, and a great cross appeared in the sky, identical to that which appeared before Emperor Constantine. Inside were the words, "In hoc signo vince," written upon it. What did Constantine see in the sky? Do you remember? He saw a cross. It's a cross with a P, if you want to picture it. It's a P cross. And they were losing, according to the legend. They were losing. They were getting their ass kicked. Fucking Germans. Just slaughtering them. The Germans were charged with the trees of the Black Forest. They had the gall to fight back, and they did. And in the middle of losing, Constantine looked up at the sky and had a vision. He saw a disc. He saw a mandala. And the mandala would be the opening of a chamber to Mount Olympus. You were accessing the HUD of Olympus. I'm gonna need more torque, says he. So saith the torque. And so may the torque be with you. And it happens. He has a vision that invigorates him. It's not about truth. It's not about rationality. It's professional wrestling dipped in NASCAR. And so he becomes a Christian. He embraces the most powerful talisman he can find, and it's simply the nearest fire poker that's around. That's all it takes. He links himself into this icon. They painted on their shields, they painted on their heads this cross, this Cairo. And they're all united by the sigil that they've just placed. The sigil is like the warts on the hand that's placed in the votive of the cave, right? These warts are me. And so if I align with this symbol by placing it on my shield, I align with it, and it aligns with me, and we are now the same. We're bounded by an oath. Have you ever noticed how cops, when they're about to storm the building, they do something really odd? In a tactical assault, or when they're trying to take over someone that's been overtaken in a vehicle, they literally place their hand on the officer's back that's in front of them. They place it on the back and they're providing support. But they're providing more to support. They're actually saying, dude, you don't get to you don't get to move. You are not moving out of this place. You're committed. And this is what happens in the army. Here's your uniform. You're in a foreign place. You don't know where. You can't go home. No one tells you that. Do you know the kind of thought it requires when you enlist? You're being promised a chance at a raffle for a horse. You got free shoes. You've got a free hat. You've got free food. You've got pants. You've got a belt. You've got a blanket. You hang out with dudes who drink beer every day because beer is distributed as part of your food. It's a living bar. And all you got to do is march through the street and get drunk. I just described to you the Northern Army, this draft. And the entire time, everyone's being told, look, if you don't join, you're just fucked. I mean, if you join now, there's perks. If you join later, you're not going to run out of perks. You're not going to get horses, man. None of you guys are getting a horse. Right? It's the same thing now. Hey guys, do you want to put the jetpacks on your elbows and fly from one ship to another? Because we really need that. That's like a really important thing. We're always like, the Army doesn't have like 2 specialists, right? They don't do that. There's only one electrician. So we're gonna strap these jet pockets on his elbows, so he can fly from boat to boat and fix the lights, change the light bulbs. And you could be one of those. This is the free horse. And how much thought does it take to realize that you're going to wake up in a place that you can't go? You can't go home. You're on Mars. You're on Mars right now. When you see something in the sky, you don't get to decide that's a dove. You don't get to decide, because Constantine's taller. And when you put on the uniform, which respects Constantine, you are making him even taller, which means all of his fantasy becomes your fantasy. There's nothing you can do about it. You cannot change Trump's fantasy. And if you want to go down trying, I think that's a great way to die. This is not disrespectful. Man, choose your destiny. Make it a good one. Aren't we all just on the cliff, looking at each other, saying, watch this? We don't know what we're going to do. You don't have to know what you're going to do. Some of us are like, I'm going to do a triple flip. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And we're not listening. We're not. We're thinking about what we're going to do. We're not watching how perfect you are. This is closer to who we are. Wow, it's been 2 hours. All right, guys, let's close it up. Sorry I didn't do any calls. I'm gonna work on some graphics, so we'll have like always some eye candy on screen that's not too specific. Yeah, I'm gonna unlist this thing. It'll still be up, but you'll have to find the secret URL somewhere. I think that's what we'll do. These will be underground airships. That way I can get better. And people won't complain and say, I don't like what you're doing. Oh, it's not as fun anymore. I don't have like a closing song. Sorry, guys, but I appreciate you. Thanks for riding the airship. We're coming into the dock right now. Everyone, don't forget your laptops. Check under your seat. Make sure you got everything that you need there. Seats upright in the upright position. Thank you for flying the friendly skies. And yeah, we'll see you next time.